Good morning. Good to see you. Hope you're well this morning. We are still in Romans 11, and Paul is again tussling with the problem of the Jews not coming to faith and the difference between Jews and Gentiles, which he has emphasized over and over again as being a historical difference. But now that Christ has come, there is no distinction between Jew and Gentile. But in verse 11 of 11, he says, "Have they stumbled so as to fall? By no means. But through their sin or their trespass, salvation has come to the Gentiles so as to make Israel jealous." Now, if their trespass or sin, if their sin means riches for the world, and if their failure means riches for the Gentiles, how much more will their full inclusion mean? He's saying here that what has happened historically, that the Jews rejected the Messiah. That rejection has led to a huge influx of Gentiles into the kingdom. And the riches and the blessings that we have received as a direct result of that. I mean, that's not to say he hasn't gone as far as to think, well, if the Jews had accepted Jesus, would they still have gone to the Gentiles? I think they would. You think about the beginning of Acts, Jesus says, "You will be my witnesses throughout the world." And if you look at the teaching of the Old Testament in depth, you will see that very often there is mention of the other nations coming to faith, coming to the glories of Jerusalem, coming to know God, who is the God of the Jews. That one of the reasons for choosing the Jewish nation, one of the reasons for choosing Abraham, was that through him all nations would be blessed. Not just the nation that God chose, but that through the Jewish nation, the knowledge of God would spread throughout the world. And I think, for me, this is one of the strangest things about the Jewish nation, is that there is nothing, when you think about the Jewish people and about synagogues and things, there is no evangelistic effort made in their faith. There's nothing in their faith that says they need to spread the message about the one true God to the entire world. It doesn't. That's not in their theology, in their thinking. There isn't. When you think about what is the religion that proselytizes the most, it would be the Christian faith. It's certainly not the Jewish faith. So the Jewish people never spread the good news about the God they served outside. If people embraced it, got to know them and wanted to know more, they would welcome them in. But they would not seek out people to come to faith. And with that position, there's Paul, the apostle to the Gentiles, who was a Jew and who did everything he could. He says in verse 14, "I magnify my ministry in order to make my fellow Jews jealous and thus save some of them." He has this distinction still about faith. And it was a great sadness to Paul, and I think to Jesus, when you look at the parables of Jesus that were about the Jewish people, the response he made to the religious leaders who quite obviously knew what he was saying and rejected it out of hand. The heartbreak, I think, that the Lord Jesus experienced here on earth by the rejection from so many of his own people was profound. And you hear it and see it in many of the things that he did and said. And he knew that his disciples would become witnesses to all peoples. And it's a wonderful thing that it did, that they became witnesses and went to every corner of the earth. And anyone who turned to Jesus could be saved. Anyone at all. There was no longer any distinction. And all that riches came because the Jews rejected Jesus in the main. But how wonderful it would be, and will be one day, when the Jews and the Gentiles who love Jesus do not separate each other from each other, but they worship together because they're all Christians. This distinction that says, I'm a Jew but I'm Messianic, still makes a separation, a difference, a bit like us with our denominational things. I'm a Pentecostal, or I'm a Church of England person, or I'm a Catholic, whatever. Those distinctions will not matter. The only thing that matters is what we've done with Jesus. We must be Christians first and denominational second. So that's my thought for the day. But can I encourage you sometime today, if you can, to read verses 17 to 24. 17 to 24, or maybe 25. 17 to 25 of chapter 11 of Romans. Read it, if you will, at least once or twice, maybe 3 times if you can. Read that passage and note somewhere on a bit of paper how many times Paul mentions faith and belief and unbelief and lack of faith. And read it prayerfully and ask the Lord to speak to you. We'll look at it tomorrow, which is his analogy of the olive tree. And those of you who are gardeners will understand quite a lot about this passage. Paul seemed to understand quite a lot about gardening there. And if you ever listen to Gardening Question Time, they talk about grafting in and about roots being strong root stock and branches being grafted into the root stock so that they have the strength of the root growing. Their roots are better in some plants than others. Yes, I know that's true. But I'm not a gardener, but maybe you are. But please read that passage a couple of times if you can before tomorrow, because we'll think about it together. So God bless you, and thank the Lord today for the riches that have come to us Gentiles because of what the Jewish people rejected, and how rich we are, and how much richer we would be if the full number of Jews were to come in. So have a great day of thinking. Happy Wednesday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.